Social Security COLA 2026 update. The latest 2.7% cost of living adjustment has been announced, but many seniors are already asking, is this really enough? With inflation and everyday expenses rising, this modest increase may not cover what retirees need to maintain their standard of living. In today's video, we'll break down what the 2.7% COLA means for your monthly Social Security payments, why it may fall short for many seniors, and what options or strategies you can consider to make up the difference. Before we dive into the details, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss updates that could impact your Social Security income. The latest projections for the 2026 Social Security cost of living adjustment have been revised upward to 2.7%, up from earlier estimates of 2.5 and 2.6%. While this might sound like good news on the surface, the reality is far more complex and potentially troubling for the millions of seniors who depend on these benefits as their primary source of income. The question isn't whether seniors will receive an increase, but whether this increase will actually help them maintain their standard of living in an economy where the costs that matter most to retirees are rising faster than the general inflation rate used to calculate these adjustments. Let's break down what this 2.7% increase actually means in real dollars for the average Social Security recipient. A 2.7% COLA increase would take the typical Social Security benefit for retirees from about $1,950 to roughly $2,003, representing an increase of approximately $53 per month or about $636 per year. Using current benefit amounts, a COLA of 2.7% would result in an average monthly increase of $54.18 or an annual average increase of $650.16. While any increase might seem welcome, this modest boost pales in comparison to the actual cost increases that seniors are experiencing in their daily lives. The fundamental problem lies in how Social Security COLAs are calculated versus the spending patterns of typical retirees. The Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, known as the CPIW, serves as the basis for these adjustments, but this index reflects the spending habits of working-age Americans, not retirees. Working people spend their money differently than seniors, allocating more to items like gasoline, clothing, and electronics, while seniors typically spend disproportionately more on healthcare, housing, and prescription medications. This mismatch means that when the costs most relevant to seniors rise faster than the general inflation rate, the COLA fails to keep pace with their actual expenses. Healthcare costs present perhaps the most significant challenge for seniors trying to stretch their Social Security dollars. Medicare premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket expenses have been rising at rates that consistently outpace general inflation, and this trend shows no signs of slowing. Experts warn that rising Medicare premiums and a slow-moving response to retirees' actual costs may undermine any gains, especially for low-income beneficiaries. When Medicare Part B premiums increase by $40 or $50 per month, which happens regularly, it can completely wipe out a COLA increase before seniors see any benefit in their actual take-home payments. The housing situation for seniors has become increasingly dire, and the 2.7% COLA does little to address this crisis. Assisted living costs increased by 10% in 2024 from 2023, with inflation being the biggest factor driving up these costs. As of 2025, the median monthly cost for a private one-bedroom apartment in an assisted living community is $6,129, a staggering amount that puts such care far beyond the reach of most Social Security recipients. Even for seniors aging in place, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and maintenance costs are rising much faster than the modest COLA increases can accommodate. The grocery store presents another battlefield for seniors on fixed incomes. Food prices have experienced volatile swings in recent years, and while some items have stabilized, the overall trajectory remains upward, particularly for the fresh fruits, vegetables, and lean proteins that are essential for maintaining health in later years. Seniors often find themselves making difficult choices between nutritious foods and staying within their budgets, decisions that can have serious long-term health consequences that ultimately cost the healthcare system far more than adequate nutrition would have cost initially. Transportation costs add another layer of complexity to the senior cost of living equation. Many seniors depend on their vehicles well into their 70s and 80s, and the combination of higher vehicle prices, increased maintenance costs for aging cars, and elevated insurance premiums creates a perfect storm of expenses. For those who can no longer drive safely, The alternatives are often expensive ride-sharing services or inadequate public transportation systems, both of which can consume a significant portion of a modest Social Security check. The psychological impact of inadequate COLAs extends far beyond mere numbers on a budget spreadsheet. Half of retirees say they are terrified that tariffs could reduce their savings or income in retirement, including Social Security. This fear reflects a broader anxiety about economic security that pervades the senior community, where many people worry constantly about outliving their money or becoming a financial burden on their adult children. The stress of financial insecurity can literally be a health hazard for seniors, leading to depression, anxiety, and other conditions that require expensive medical treatment. The broader economic environment complicates the COLA picture even further. Social Security beneficiaries are in a catch-22 situation. There is only a big COLA when inflation is high, but low inflation, which is generally good for the economy, results in smaller COLAs. This paradox means that seniors never quite win, either facing high prices with adequate adjustments or low adjustments with prices that still outpace their income growth in the categories that matter most to them. Policy experts have long advocated for using a different inflation measure that better reflects senior spending patterns, such as the Consumer Price Index for the elderly, or CPIE. This alternative index typically shows higher inflation rates for senior-relevant expenses and would result in larger COLA adjustments. However, implementing such a change would require congressional action, and the political appetite for increasing Social Security costs remains limited despite the clear need for more accurate cost of living adjustments. The 2026 COLA of 2.7% also fails to address the longer-term erosion of Social Security's purchasing power that has occurred over decades. Studies have shown that Social Security benefits have lost significant buying power since 2000, meaning that even with annual adjustments, today's seniors are worse off than their predecessors were at comparable points in their retirement. This gradual erosion compounds over time, making each inadequate COLA more problematic than the last. Regional variations in cost of living present additional challenges that the national COLA cannot address. Seniors living in high-cost areas like California, New York, or Hawaii face expenses that far exceed the national averages used to calculate COLAs, while those in lower-cost regions might find the adjustments more adequate. This one-size-fits-all approach leaves many seniors in expensive areas particularly vulnerable to financial hardship despite receiving the same percentage increase as those in more affordable locations. The timing of COLA announcements also creates planning difficulties for seniors and their families. The official COLA announcement typically doesn't come until October, leaving seniors uncertain about their 2026 budgets for most of the year. This uncertainty makes it difficult to make informed decisions about major expenses, healthcare choices, or living arrangements, forcing many seniors to operate in a constant state of financial limbo. Looking ahead, several trends suggest that the gap between COLAs and actual senior expenses will likely widen rather than narrow. Climate change is driving up costs for everything from air conditioning to insurance to food production, and these effects disproportionately impact seniors who are less able to adapt to changing conditions. The aging of the baby boom generation is also creating increased demand for senior services and housing, which typically drives prices higher. The 2026 COLA of 2.7% represents a system that's fundamentally out of step with the economic realities facing today's seniors. While any increase is better than none, this modest adjustment falls far short of what's needed to help seniors maintain their standard of living in an economy where the costs most relevant to them are rising much faster than general inflation. The result is a slow but steady erosion of financial security for millions of Americans who worked their entire lives with the expectation that Social Security would provide a foundation for dignified retirement. What can you do to prepare for these challenges and protect yourself or your loved ones from the financial squeeze that's coming? Start by understanding that Social Security was never designed to be a complete retirement solution, and explore ways to supplement these benefits through savings, part-time work, or other income sources. Consider relocating to lower-cost areas if that's feasible, and investigate programs that can help reduce expenses like Medicare savings programs, SNAP benefits for seniors, or property tax exemptions. Most importantly, stay informed about policy changes and advocate for reforms that would make COLAs more responsive to the actual costs that seniors face, because your voice and your vote can make a difference in the fight for adequate retirement security.